just for the purposes of record keeping. How are
Yeah,
you doing
sure.
today? What time?
I am great. So it is actually 5:30 here in the morning, and I was really scared while sleeping. I was just having that panic attack that I might be, missing out the meeting, and all of a sudden I just rushed to the washroom, and oh yeah, but I'm glad I made it.
Thank you so much for coming for today. And
Yeah,
students are
my
quite
pleasure.
excited and they have a lot of questions for you, Iman. You
Oh
are
wow.
in a good ride today. I'm going to start with Sophia. Sophia, do you want to go ahead and...
Sure.
You're muted though, Sophia, just so that you know. Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. Hi, Iman. So welcome, first
Hi.
of all.
Thank you so much.
Trying to find where I wrote my question. Oh, so first of all, I really liked your podcast. It was really, really fun to listen to, especially with
I'm
like.
so glad to hear that.
I really
Thank
like.
you so much.
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
She just said thank you, I think. That's all.
Yes, I was saying thank you, and I'm really grateful that you took your time and heard my podcast.
So in the podcast, you mentioned the benefits of working with various people in your line of work. Can you describe a time when you received significant feedback and your approach to pivoting, I guess, your business model or like your operations based on that feedback?
I'm sorry. Can you please repeat the question again?
Oh, sorry. I was asking if you can describe a time when you received significant feedback and how you use that feedback to pivot your strategies.
Okay, in terms of improving the product, is that what you're trying to ask me? Yeah, sure. So like I said before, that there's a whole range of products that I came up with. So at the moment, the most sold product is my handmade lotion. And so when we talk about the lotion, it's all about the consistency and how it's affecting your skin. So the lotion that I make is actually rose hip and lavender lotion. So the main ingredient is rosehip seed oil. Now I tell you why, because women, when they apply the lotion in Asia specifically and in Pakistan, most of the women, they're going through skin conditions like acne, or acne marks, or dark under eyes, pigmentation, or you can say melasma. So the biggest feedback that I received was from one of my customers. She was around 60 plus, and she said that while I was at the end, like I was almost finishing the jar, I could really feel that my pigmentation has lightened. And that was a huge thing for me, because considering the fact that age matters a lot. So while I was formulating the recipe for my next batch, I tried emphasizing or working more on that rosehip seed oil. And I wanted to see what more benefits can it provide to not just women, even men out there, or kids, as a matter of fact. So that's one of the biggest feedback.
Okay, thank you so much.
Cool, thank you. And we'll come back to Sophia again for her second question, but I want to give chance to Kelly.
Hi, thanks for coming.
Hi.
One of
So much.
the questions I had for you was, you mentioned you do consultations with all of your clients, and I was just curious to hear more about how you conduct those and how like willing and excited people are to have a conversation with you before they make a purchase.
Yes, so like I said, consultation is very essential in Pakistan, and I think even all around the world. Doctors or even the dermatologists, they really charge consultation. So what makes me different is that although I'm a scientist by profession and I'm not a doctor, I still do offer them a skin consultation without any charges. Now, the reason how they contact me is through, I just give them my WhatsApp number, because when I was working in AFIB as scientific officer, obviously I wasn't allowed to, I couldn't have done something personal there, right? So they do ask me that if we can come over to your place, or and you know, that's not professional. So they just send me the pictures through WhatsApp, or you know, I just make a set of questions for them, and just send it through WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or Instagram to just answer all the questions. And if they're interested, they can just send me the pictures, and we take it from there.
Great,
Cool.
thank you.
And Kainat have some questions for you.
Hi, Iman. Thank you for being
Hi.
here. So one of my questions was that what are some other ways that you can recommend that like someone starting off with a small product business that can actually practice like minimum investment and maximum profit? Because I know you mentioned that try to stay away from like unnecessary fancy packaging.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, what are some other ways that you could practice that?
Yes, I personally believe that this is actually a very good question, because I personally believe when I started off with my business venture, and if I would say that to anyone, they'd be like, "How's that even possible?" But one thing that I learned is you can always turn your hobby into your business. And how's that possible? That even if you make something small, like for instance, I'm just giving an example, handcrafted greeting cards. So if you design that yourself, you can start selling that off. Now, what makes that different from the rest? Number one, you can customize that. They're handmade, and the quality of the paper, and so on and so forth. So similarly, it could be with anything. Yes, I'm not saying that something that requires machinery at professional level, that could be a little tricky, or you, as a matter of fact, a restaurant, you can say. But small things can always turn into a business. That's what I believe.
Interesting. And Iman, you do the craft papers design. I have often seen your drawings and sketches on Instagram, and very cool sketches.
Yes. Yeah, because Nagmi Baji, in Pakistan, when you're doing a business, there's still no concept. I mean, now people are actually working on this, but how do you make the greeting cards very special for your loved ones? I keep emphasizing that. How do you gift wrap a certain package? Because people don't really focus on that. So if you for example receive a present from overseas with beautifully wrapped ribbons and the decorations on top, it would definitely bring a big smile on your face. So this is one thing that I really wanted to focus on.
Very nice. Itna isn't here right now. I think she dropped out. She was having internet issues. But she has a question here for you, and I would like to ask on her behalf. Is being one of the first brands in the organic skincare scenes in Pakistan, how have you approached sourcing and manufacturing your products? And her second question, I don't know if you want to answer both of them together. Have you found that your company ethos is better received by a very niche category of people in Pakistan, or has the customer base been very broad?
Okay, so I'll start off with the first question. I think I'm not the first organic brand in Pakistan, because people, like, there are a few more brands who are focusing on organic approach. So I wouldn't say I'm the 1st, but about the ingredients, yes, I don't compromise on that. So I do have vendors, or I get the ingredients imported from overseas, from across the globe. If I talk about essential oils, especially, so every essential oil is different in every country. So it really depends from which country am I getting it imported to Pakistan, and I get it I don't get that done in a bulk amount, because that would cost me heaps. And like I said, minimum investment, maximum profit. So that would defeat the purpose. So I just get it in small amounts. My containers, they come from Malaysia. These days I'm having a really tough time, because due to pandemic, the borders are closed and can't get my stuff here. About the manufacturing, I do have my tiny little lab that I made myself, And I just work there. No one else is allowed there because I really believe in hygiene conditions, and everyone wants to see it, but I don't let anyone. Like, I do sound rude. I shouldn't say that, but
All right.
so
Yeah,
the
and
other question,
the question was, to
yes.
repeat the other question, like, do you have a niche category of customers, or it's broadly, basically, I think what she's trying to say, what is your target audience? Is it a very specific audience or generally for everyone?
In my last interview, when we were talking about, sorry, why Pakistan, and I did say that when you think about serving humanity and bringing about change, why not your home country? So, considering that fact, I had set my price range. My prices are very reasonable. So, sorry, although I do have the niche market,
Mhm.
but I'm actually targeting a larger market. I
Hmm.
don't know if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So, for example, if there are little girls who really wants to buy something for their moms, or anyone,
Mhm.
they can easily afford my product. So why not give them benefit as well?
Hmm.
So that's my whole aim, that I really want to reach out there.
So affordability wise, you have your target is quite large, affordability, the way you have
Yes.
priced the product. But with respect to the category of product, like, do you target certain skin types, or your various products are for different skin types, or you do it for certain? Yeah, I think what she's asking, are your products very specialized towards their users, or?
Um, I do design my product for every skin type, because when we make a product for skin in specific, you have to be very careful. So the skin type varies from every individual in Pakistan. Like I mentioned a while ago, we're the women who are facing acne, or acne marks, or post-pregnancy problems. Similarly, men do have eczema. So conditions like eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis, and some women have oily skin type. So not every soap is suitable for them. So this is the whole purpose of skin consultation, that I need to see what type of skin they have and then recommend my product. So yes, I do target a larger market in terms of price and skin type.
Hmm. All right. And so, Hover, do you want to ask your question yourself?
Yes, first of all, thank you so much for being here. The
Right.
podcast was really
Thank you.
nice to listen to. My question, I have two, but I'll ask the first one. So
Sure.
growing up, I was born in Pakistan and I grew up there for a little bit, and then I completely agree with what you were talking about, how mental health isn't uh isn't like there's not a lot of light on it, and it's just like usually just sitting there. So is mental health a factor that, I mean, you were talking about how certain oils can release like serotonin and stuff like that. So is that a factor that you look to kind of like educate people and raise awareness through your products?
Absolutely. So anyone who's approaching me and they're taking the consultation, I just give them a brief background that what is the whole concept of IORA, and I do mention about the mental health. Like, for example, my whip body butter. I do add peppermint essential oil. So those who have problems like sinus, or they're really stressed before going to bed, I just ask them, just apply this body butter on your temples with the right pressure points, and just massage it on your neck, on your nape. So that would really help you. So, and then I do emphasize that you need to look after yourself. So when I talk about this regime, I'm actually trying to force them to give themselves some time, like at least 1 hour a day. So I really hope that automatically that it would make them used to it. So they would really start thinking over it, that yes, so it does matter, like mental health is important.
And I mean, following up on Cover's question, I think his second question is very important. Like, is there, since there isn't any, not, I shouldn't say any, there's less focus on mental health and well-being. And in Pakistan, like, do you foresee yourself creating that as part of your agenda, and yes, your products are there to kind of like partially solve this issue, but also as an awareness, creating an awareness, creating educational campaigning that could lead essentially towards the use of your products. Do you foresee yourself doing that, or that is kind of like an overreach?
Um, I really hope so, Nagmi Baji, because like I said, it's just not a business. Being in this field, it is my job to help people out there. In fact, there are times when the customers, when they call me, we end up talking for 1 hour. I am tired. I do get drained. I wouldn't lie, but I'm happy because when they talk to me, they start sharing their worries, for example. Because when I tell them about so that gives me an idea how vulnerable they are, how weak they are mentally and physically, that they really need someone to talk to. So giving them a product like this would really make them feel special.
Mm.
And if that can make a change, why not? Let's see.
Yeah. Delican, you have questions next, would you mind?
Yes. I know that when it comes to like one of the biggest um like I I wouldn't say it's like a problem, but I think it is kind of like a problem for entrepreneurs where like like when they first start, they kind of like start in their own like small like box, but then like there's one point where they have to let go, where like they need to get other people to do their stuff for them when they get too busy. So like my question is, how do you ensure like your the quality of your product stays the same when you start producing it at scale?
This is actually an amazing question because this is exactly the situation I am in at the moment. My work has automatically expanding so much, touch wood, that I'm actually thinking to hire someone.
Yeah.
And that it really stops me from, the one thing that really stops me from hiring that person is that not that I don't trust that person, it's about the hygiene level. I know that if I'm going to formulate the product myself, I know the SOP that I'm going to follow, but I can't keep a check on that person all the time. So I keep delaying the process. Yes, if I tend to hire a person, I need to ensure that I train the person,
Yeah.
and the person is actually wearing a proper PPE, considering that it's pandemic these days. So you really have to be careful.
Well, like maybe like let's maybe a follow-up question. Like when do you know it's a good time for you to say, you know what, they can work alone now?
So the place that I used to work at, where I got my hands-on experience in this whole work, I used to work with, there were a couple in Australia, and I used to work for her. Like I tried my best, but you know what? There was a day when she left me alone in a room, and she said, "Could you please make me few lip balms?" And I was just by myself.
Yeah.
And I think she got a point that she can work on her own. So I can't really say anything, but if I'm going to hire a person, probably I'm going to do the same.
Based
If
on your guts. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's all about the guts. Like my sixth sense would tell me that this is the time. Like leave the person alone in the room.
All right. All right. Thank you.
And then there are other questions, but I want to give chance to Kenneth if he has anything to ask. He didn't put any question there, but if he has any questions.
Yeah, I was just wondering more about like your marketing side because when I first Googled Iora, I actually came up to a Australian a different company based in Australia. So I was just wondering if you were like more focused on the one-to-one association that you're trying to create with your customer base, or if you're planning to like scale up and go beyond.
So could you please simplify that question for me? I'm sorry. So are you trying to say, I do know that when you type Iora, there are different companies that come up, right?
Yeah.
But what so mine is actually the way it's Iora soaps and balms.
Okay.
And at the moment, I am actually working on that because I just want to make sure it doesn't coincide with someone else's name or company. At the moment in Pakistan, I'm just focusing nationwide customers. I'm not actually because I can't really export my products internationally, so I wasn't too concerned about it, to be honest. But if you know, in near future everything goes great, and you know, I see a future in this field, definitely I have to look into it.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, I see.
There are some IORAs, even though Iman's yours or IORA is Iman's Organics, right? But there are some
Exactly.
couple of, I just did a quick search and seems
And I
like
have
there's,
no idea, Nabibaji, how we came up with it. It was actually my husband who was like, hey, what about Iman Organics, Iora? You know, in
okay,
Pakistan, we haven't heard that before. I was like, okay.
interesting. And yeah, so there's Iora Naturals, Iora in Singapore, I can see that. But yeah, obviously yours, Iora Soaps and Balms isn't there, but different other
Yes.
combinations are there already. So that was a great question, Kenneth. And once you start branding, I think the internationally you will have to take care of it. I want to. I know that Sophia's second question, which was very interesting, and you kind of touched on it already, was what is your competitive advantage over your competitors? And I think what you are doing differently, and then that's just my view, and you can talk more on it, is the pre-sale consultation. I think I see that yourself doing. I haven't seen it before. Is that the advantage that your customers have over the other brands that they could use but they don't? They come to you. What is the advantage that they have to use your product and not anybody else's?
So there are two. So yes, what you said is right, the consultations, and also everything that I make is by myself.
Hmm.
There is nothing that I get made from some other place, from any other manufacturers, or get it imported and I sell it here. I never do that. So one advantage that I have is that if someone gives me a feedback, I know what ingredients there are, I know what's the method of making, and I know where I can improve any further. So if I get a product, let's say imported from overseas, I wouldn't have any idea that, you
Hmm.
know, what's actually in that product. So these are the two advantages, what I personally believe that makes me different. And also the, you know, the wrapping services. People are offering wrapping services, but you know, the home-based businesses who are making skincare products, they don't really give you an additional service like gift wrapping or get it delivered to your loved ones, or you know,
Hmm.
greeting cards. So yeah.
Hmm. I want to give a chance to Stephanie. I know this story. Stephanie, you're here. I should have came to Stephanie. Iman is my co-instructor, and she's a clothing designer, and she has her own
Oh,
brand here in Vancouver. And Stephanie, I don't know, and she's very busy too. And I'm not sure if she got a chance to listen to your podcast, but listening to the discussion, if you have any questions for Iman, that would be great.
I have so many questions, but I don't want to take up all the airspace. But I'll tell you the two big questions I always like asking with students when I'm talking to business owners is one, what was your journey successes, and we from and sort of that meandering path, and you know, like it's not just a straight line in life. And that makes me feel better too. And then my other question is, what's the biggest mistake you've made in business? Because I think it's really important we learn from each other.
The biggest mistake. Okay. I think one of the biggest mistake. I'll start with the second question. I'm sorry, there was some internet interruption, so I couldn't really
And we
get your first
lost
question.
Stephanie in between. Yeah.
Yes. So I think the biggest mistake is that I didn't really work on the proper you know, when I make the product, how do you sterilize the utensils, or the clean the utensils? I didn't really work on that part, so I have to go through a lot of tough time in terms of cleaning the utensil or sterilizing it due to lack of resources. So I think if I can get that fixed, it can really ease my life, and I can really, it wouldn't consume much of the time, because right now, because I don't have any resource like a dishwasher in my room, installed in my room, the room that I work where. So I really have to really give a lot of time on each and every utensil or the tool that I'm working with. So that's one of the biggest mistake. And sorry, and can we please repeat the first question?
Well, I actually want to challenge you on that. Is that really a mistake or a circumstance?
I would really say mistake, because I did have time to work on it. But unfortunately, I couldn't, because I was like, you know what, I can manage this. I can do this. Apart
All
from
right,
this,
I got it.
can't really, yeah, because it's a very small business. So I can't really think of anything else at the moment, because it's a very small setup. So I don't know, when I take the next step, I would be in a better position to tell you that, you know what, this is the biggest mistake I made.
So far,
I can
things
think
have
of
been
so many.
And the second question, I think Stephanie was asking, Stephanie, we lost you in a bit, but I think you were asking about her journey or something like that.
Yeah, your journey. What happened to you to bring you to this place? Because we don't always hear where people come from. We just see where they're at and we think like, wow, I could never do that. But we all just have different paths, and it's amazing when you hear them. You go like, oh, that's not so scary.
So there were actually two things. Number one, because my mom was an artist by profession, so I always inherited that one thing. I always had that innovative mind. Number two, my field. When I used to work in the labs and work on different types of extracts and work on their benefits, the properties, and I was crazy about skincare products. I wasn't too much into makeup, but I was more into skincare. And lastly, when I went to Australia to pursue my master's degree. So, the further I worked on the research, the further it led me to an idea that, you know what, why not make your own products? And also, I wouldn't lie, every time I would go and shop at L'Occitane or Lush, or, just to see those soap bars there, I mean, it was so tempting. These are the factors that led me here.
And Stephanie, just to give a brief overview, Iman is a biotechnologist by profession, like she's a researcher, and most of her research is around human body, and how can you support it through technical innovation. And this is kind of like a very niche that she took on, and I was very surprised as well, Iman, like knowing who you are, and then working in a very top-notch government labs, and then you chose to start your own venture, and that to skincare. I was interested to know like why you chose this path. And it makes sense because you are who you are. You experienced skin problem, and you said you are your own experimental bed, and that's how you wanted to help others, and that's how you find out the problem and the solution in itself.
Exactly.
Very cool. Is there any other follow-up question from Stephanie or anybody else who would like to ask? All righty. Thank you so much, Iman, for your time.
My pleasure. It was actually so much fun.
I think you can go back to sleep now, or maybe not.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna hit the bed. Yeah. I didn't actually have my coffee because I still knew that there's 1 more hour to go, so I can still take a nap probably. So yeah.
Well, all the best. Have the best dreams.
Thank you so much for having me again, and it was a pleasure talking to everyone, and it's so exciting to see what you guys are doing, and I'm actually so inspired. I just hope I was there too, and joining your team, and it's really fun to watch. It's amazing.
Thank you so much. Take care, Iman. We'll see you again. Yeah. Bye.
I will definitely. Bye.